Welcome to episode 124.
Spiritual bypassing.
Join us as we look at our own faiths and other religions and how we can use it to sidestep really hard things.
And allowing us to see what we really need to be looking at.
Oof, stay tuned.
Welcome to the Witchy Wit podcast, where we look at life through a witchy lens. I'm Kimberlyn.
I'm Leilani.
At Witchy Wit, we explore current events,
Ideas,
music and books,
and experiences in ways that recognize energy and life in everybody and everything.
We are both real witches.
And we bring two real perspectives through the lens of our different ages,
Races,
and backgrounds.
with a healthy skepticism for what we have been told is true. Our conversations are raw, candid, and vulnerable.
Join us as we cast a spell to uncover what we each know is true in our intuitive, witchy selves.
Welcome to episode 124.
Spiritual bypassing.
So something really light and
Something... I know, heading into the holidays, we really want something, just it's the most wonderful time of the year. So let's talk about
spiritually bypass.
Well,
it actually
okay,
is, yeah.
This is actually a pretty timely.
It is
okay.
pretty, yeah.
Okay.
So but before we have that conversation, perhaps we could do a check-in and then we'll close with a poem at the very end.
For sure. Well, I have a so for our my check-in, I was at one of our intensives back in here in Texas about a month ago, and I totally forgot I'd gotten this until I was like cleaning out my bags and stuff. And I got something for you.
Okay.
And I just thought, it's nothing big. It's just a little something. But I just thought that my check-in would be to give that to you on
I love
air.
that.
So I don't know if you would even recognize it, but here it is.
Natural Magic Shop. Biodegradable. Plastic free? Holographic glitter?
Yeah.
I love it!
Yay,
This is biodegradable plastic free?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I'm so yay! When I saw, first of all, it was glitter, so I thought, okay, yeah, no, not for me. But then I know somebody for whom it was.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah.
Can I tell you? Okay, so it's in this little glitter or
Okay,
glass.
she's holding it up to the mic.
It's so cool.
And the little vial, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little vial. And it says it's from says it's from a magic shop.
Oh yeah, it's a magic shop in Austin.
So it definitely feels magic-y, despite the fact that I think all glitter is magical when I wear it.
Yeah.
So what I really love about this is that I like to wear glitter on my lips. And I only recently realized that I was putting microplastics in my mouth.
Every time you licked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I remember we joked about years and years ago something about let's create a biodegradable circle. We were like, didn't we cast a circle with biodegradable?
We did.
Sparkles, glitter, or whatever. So I ever since then it's kind of sat in the back of my head. And when I saw that, I thought, I know who this is perfect for.
thank you so much.
Yay,
I'm going
you're
to a
welcome.
rave, and I will be using this.
Yeah. So would you put on lipstick and then just sprinkle that on top?
So I actually use eyelash glue.
So it'll stay on. That's well, except for the microplastics.
Right, except for the fact that, yeah. But aside from microplastics,
Yeah, it's great. I love that. Yay! Well, welcome. I'm glad you liked it. So enjoy it.
Thank you so much. So thoughtful.
It's my pleasure. I try to support these stores, and I don't go up to Austin that often. So because they had a booth at this camp. I got a whole bunch of, I should show you the other stuff I got there, but I got some teas and some bath stuff and all that. Yeah. So anyway, but I saw that and I thought, okay, got to get that.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Wearing in good health. Think of me when you apply.
I will.
Okay.
I'll send you a picture.
Okay, great. What about okay, yeah, enough. Let's move on. So that's my check-in is just
Okay.
I was thinking about you about a month ago. What's your check-in?
So my check-in is I am learning Spanish. I'm actively
Bueno. Okay, brava.
Oh. It reminds me of when we would be on the Camino and you would accidentally speak
Italian probably.
Yeah, instead of Spanish. So I'm learning Spanish and my students are being very helpful. And one of my students came in and I was walking with her to the cafeteria and I said to her, ¿Tienes hombre?
Do you have a...
A man?
And so what was her response?
And she looks at me, and she is very patient with me, and she knows that I'm trying to learn Spanish. So she kind of looks at me really confused, and I'm like pretty sure that I was saying it correctly. And so I was like, ¿Tienes hombre? And then she looks at me, so then I start pointing to my stomach.
Oh, is she having a boy?
Well, right. Except I was saying the wrong word. And so finally she's like, no, niña. And then finally she's like, hombre? And I was like, oh my gosh. I was asking her, do you have man? Instead of, do you have hunger? Like, are you hungry? Oh.
Yeah.
So that now rings up with my favorite misspeakings in Spanish. Like whenever I asked my student if she had her homework, but I actually asked her if she had her lottery.
Loteria, yes.
Yeah, I said loteria instead of la tarea. So.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah.
I love that. May I share a story?
Yes.
This was years and years ago when I was teaching in the grades, and a friend of mine was teaching Spanish class, and I was going by, and they looked like they were having a good time, so I didn't feel like that sticking my head in. And it was near the end of the period, and I stuck my head in and kind of tripped over the door. So I thought I was saying, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed," but what I was saying is, "Oh, I'm so pregnant."
Embarazada.
So if that helps, that makes you feel a little bit better. Oh, I'm so pregnant. and they all the like it was like all the heads, ding, right? And they would look at my face, and then you could see their eyes kind of sliding down, and then and she laughed, and then she finally told me. I said, "Oh, see you at lunch."
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. I'm so pregnant.
I'm so pregnant.
And I was, the rest of the sentence was constructed really brilliantly.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there we go. So great check-ins.
Yeah. So that was a light note. So now let's dive into
spiritual
bypassing.
Oh, okay. So how did we decide? I think it came up maybe in another episode or something.
Yeah, it came up with our interview with Kimberly.
Oh, okay, yes.
Oh, when she was talking about shamanism, we were talking about some cultural appropriation and spiritual bypassing came up, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And what was so funny was, I think the very next day, on one of the many social media things that I get, there was this huge thing, not a huge thing, but this post about spiritual bypassing, some of which I'll share later, but I think I sent you a little picture of it saying, how timely. So,
how timely, yeah.
So let's do this thing.
Well, so fun fact, my master's degree is in transpersonal psychology, so I actually am fairly familiar with, his name is John Wellwood.
Oh, okay.
And he is one of the people that talks a lot about spiritual bypassing. And he says that it's using spiritual ideas and practices to sidestep personal, emotional, unfinished business, to shore up a shaky sense of self, or to belittle basic needs, feelings, and developmental tasks. So that's how he defines it.
Yeah, kind of sounds like the story of my life. So I went later at the near the end of the episode. I have list of like various categories of spiritual bypassing, and as I was reading them, it's like, okay, okay, oh wow. So yeah, okay. Let's.
Right.
So can we talk a little? Well, do you want to talk a little bit more about how it arises and how people use it as a defense mechanism, maybe?
Yeah. So I think the way I understand it is that it is a sidestepping. It is a defense mechanism. And the reason why I think it's so popular in some ways is that it's a lot prettier. It's a lot more culturally approved of.
Oh, yeah.
And I would even say we oftentimes as a culture can praise people for spiritually bypassing. Yep. And therefore it just kind of can kind of like fly under the radar in a lot of ways, where people might not even realize what they're doing, or what they're affirming whenever somebody does it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
Yes, it reminds me so much when we were talking a couple of weeks ago about, going to work sick. It's that same, that same, to me, it's that, for me, it's kind of the same thing where I'm hiding my pain and I'm just kind of shoving forward and kind of just doing the thing, it. And so I'm lauded for that. I'm praised for that. I feel good about myself because I'm coming in and I'm not letting this stuff, I'm not letting this hold me back, so, and probably, and so I use these spiritual bypassing techniques, as a way of not dealing with the stuff, but I also use it to shore up my ego.
Oh.
See how it's kind of a double pronged, like whammy.
Yeah.
So, and I do that to shore up my ego because, as you say, the dominant culture really rewards that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it rewards that. We can make that more nuanced later, but it, as a rule, a lot of the spiritual bypassing methods are kind of considered, well, it helps you to get along with people.
And I think it also helps me get along with myself because I would much rather feel by spiritual bypassing having an ego boost. And I think sitting in that is much more pleasant than sitting in the muck. So that makes sense to me. It's very appealing.
Yeah.
So I found this one author. Her name is Ingrid Clayton, PhD. She's a PhD, and she wrote this article in 2011, and she was talking about the shadow side of spiritual bypass. And this is what she said. There's a shadow side to almost every positive thing we can do for ourselves, including spiritual bypass. All spiritual and psychological tools can be used in a willful way. For example, sometimes self-care is actually taking care of ourselves, unplugging from too much work and plugging into more balance and harmony. But sometimes, under the guise of self-care, we are really just checking out, denying what's happening and how scary it feels to show up for life.
Yeah. Yes. And yes. And it's, I would imagine the behavior is probably pretty similar. It's the reason, it's the why we're using it that's going to be important. It's because and we'll be more specific in a second about what this looks like, just in case people don't know. But it's basically a way that I can use a behavior that's benign, or can be considered benign, to keep me from doing some work or to confronting something that's painful. Like you said, something about checking out. And I have to say, I'm real good at that. It's like, it could have been an Olympic sport for me, so it's when I started reading some of this stuff, and I've since grown through that, but those are my tendencies. Those are they're coping mechanisms. And the problem with a coping mechanism is that, yes, it helps you to cope, and it, in many cases, should often be something that helps you to cope in the short term, just so that you can then have the leisure or the time or the wherewithal, the bandwidth to do the work. So, but in a lot of spiritual bypassing, that you employ it continuously. So you never do the work. You just keep putting it off because you have this one, you have this technique, you have this, and we can talk a little bit more about that.
And I think with spiritual bypassing, oftentimes I don't even realize I'm spiritual bypassing. So it's really hard to even work on it because I don't even know that I'm doing it, because I'm not only bypassing the problem, I'm bypassing me realizing that I'm bypassing. I'm bypassing the bypassing.
The bypassing. So let's talk a little bit about that, and then we can go back up and talk about how. Yeah. So this is from a Telegram channel called Salancha. It's kind of like the freebie stuff by this woman who has a Reiki school, etc. So she has a lot of good content up there, and then she also advertises her classes and various groups and stuff. So these are 10 forms of bypassing that often go unnoticed, but deeply slow down your evolution. So the first one is the eternal optimist.
Well, that sounds great.
It does sound great, yay! But the eternal optimist hides behind positivity and good vibes only to avoid grief, anger, or inner conflict. That would be me. Oof. Raising my hand for that. The idea that, so let's say something happens, like let's say my car breaks down. So, and this is why, we're encouraged to say, okay, my car broke down. I can call AAA. They can come. Hopefully if I can't get stuff done tonight, I'll get it done tomorrow. That this is okay, as opposed to, God damn it, my car broke down again. I'm a shitty person because I didn't get my oil change. You see what I'm saying? So there is a plus and minus. There's a way of handling that's positive or negative. The eternal optimist, however, would this would say, for me, I'm going to use me as an example, like my car broke down and I got it repaired. The next week it broke down and I got it repaired, and saying, okay, this is not a big problem, and not recognizing that maybe there's a problem with the car that needs to be addressed by just, instead of doing stopgap and, slamming a bandage on it, that maybe I need to take it into the shop, bite the bullet, spend the $1,000 for them to get under the hood and do the thing. Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense, because it's like using this optimism as a Band-Aid over looking at and learning from the real issue.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
The next one is called the enlightened ego. Using spiritual language and performance to feel superior while avoiding humility and self-reflection.
So can I give you an example of that?
Sure.
So, I'm trying to think, let's say you're telling me something that's going on. Oh, well, Leilani, thank you so much for sharing that with me. And I'm going to just share with you that there are ways that you can deal with this. And, I think if you look at how I do this, I meditate. She's cringing. I just want.
I don't like it.
So I'm meditating. I hold my crystals in front of my boobs, and then I do several ohms, and it always works for me. And so you might want to give that a try, and if it doesn't work for you, you might need to try harder. Maybe come see me again and get some more tips. Right?
Try harder or come back to me so I can help you more.
Right. Whereas if I thought about this, I might even say the same thing. When this happens to me, I do this, and I do this because it calms me down. So it's not the thing itself. It's how I'm utilizing it. Because I can say, it calms me down. I can use that as a way of continuing my growth. Or I do this and it makes me feel good in the moment. Now that I think about it, though, I really should spend more. You see what I'm saying? So that's the enlightened ego.
Oof. It sounds so condescending to me.
I know.
Which is the opposite of humility.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is they're avoiding humility. I'm avoiding. Let's I reference here. I'm avoiding, because a lot of these. So then there's the martyr healer.
I know this one. Do you want to read it?
Okay. Yes. So the martyr healer, and often called the wounded healer, right? Over-identifies as a healer or empath to avoid addressing personal wounds, often neglecting self-care. Enneagram 2,
right? The martyr healer / Enneagram 2 / Leilani.
So, and this is one of those things where I know it stems from a really healthy desire to be helpful. And the help often comes at the cost of me taking care of myself. And in many cases, it comes at the cost of me looking at myself so that I can do work, right? Sometimes it's literally not taking care of myself physically, but often by focusing on helping you, okay, getting you those crystals, and maybe videotaping me, doing the mantra or something like that, keeps me from actually thinking, okay, why am I doing this? That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Ugh. For me, it's like that phrase of lighting myself on fire to warm others.
Yes. Yes.
Like if I'm lighting myself on fire, I'm keeping everyone else warm, but I'm burning myself at my own expense. And then the way it ends up, one of the cues for me is that I end up getting resentful. And that's whenever I start getting resentful, I start feeling that feeling. And then I think, why am I feeling resentful? And then I retrace my emotional steps, and it leads me back to the martyr healer.
And see, and that's where, so it's so great that you said that, because one of the things about all of these archetypes is not that the actual behavior itself is wrong. It's why are we doing that? And in many cases, it's to keep ourselves from examining ourselves. So
yes.
you actually have a marker. And resentment is usually pretty good. That I'm so happy to hear that, because then you have there's a red flag.
Yeah.
You know, the flag is being waved, and that's a good opportunity for you to say, you know, whoa, hold up.
Thanks. I have it because I've done it so much. I know it.
It sounds like the people who said, I can quit smoking. I do it like every day. Gotcha. Shall I say? So another is the psychedelic escapist. And this person chases spiritual highs through substances or altered states, but avoids integration and grounded presence. Now, I would expand that from psychedelic to trance.
Yes.
Dance.
Yes.
I mean, you know, I think of all of the ways that these are great things, and they can be opportunities for growth and development, but I use them to not do it.
Mm-hmm. And I love what you said earlier in our conversation about how it may not necessarily be the thing itself that's air quotes wrong or bad. It's the way that it's being used. Because I would argue that psychedelics or intense altered states of consciousness, especially in like retreat settings, can be really powerful and life-changing and lead to long-term growth and change in a really great direction. But that's using it in a way that really involves reflection and can be very uncomfortable. But this is more like, I'm going to go do this thing and alter my state of consciousness, and then not really do the work around it, but take the experience as the work, even though it's not the work. The experience is like the thing that triggers the work. Exactly. And then the real work begins. But I'm just going to go do the thing and then maybe like make some Instagram posts about it. Instead of, and then, you know, because I've oftentimes, when we've gone to like these week-long intensives, where I've come out of it and been like, and now the real work begins.
Yes. Like, let me go, you write all this stuff down, and let me now sit down with my journal and go through all of these learnings and, you know, experiences and exactly, like, that's just a foretaste, like you're dipping your toe in the pool and guided by people who are fabulous folks. But the real work is really internal, and you do that work. Ugh. So that's that's number 4, the psychedelic escapist. And number 5 is the astrological deflector. Blames everything on retrogrades and planetary alignments to avoid taking personal responsibility. Enough said. I have an acquaintance who, that's kind of their go-to. Yeah. So it's interesting to hear them, because I learn a lot about astrology. Yeah. But yeah, it's not pleasant to sit with, you know, and because you just look at them and you think, oh, honey, like, you know, yeah, the planets might be doing this and that's, but let's talk about the one constant in all of those astrological alignments. You know, but anyway, so.
And I don't know if I haven't read this list until right now with you, so I'm not sure, but I see that in other religions being like, well, it's God's will.
Oh my God, it's the will of Allah. Yeah.
And then it's like, well, then I have no responsibility, or I have no control. I have no
will, no free will.
I have nothing that I can. It absolves me of any sort of responsibility or responsibility to. That's one that I get real triggered by.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's I mean, it's laziness too, but it's also really absolving oneself of taking action, and again, it's just a way of, it's bypassing. You're stepping over your responsibility. You're stepping over your accountability.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The next one, number 6, the saintly mask. Presents a surface of compassion and serenity while repressing real emotions beneath spiritual ideals.
I've been known. I was gonna say I don't really do that one, but I think every once in a while I've dipped my toe in that pool. But I've seen that so often, and that's not just in me, but I've seen the mask crack for a lot of people. Where, particularly when I or others are trying to be this kind of very saintly, the above it all. That comes back to the other one with the superiority. Above it all, and it's like, yeah, and we all are human. We all have physical bodies. We all have emotion, anger, resentment. There's times when we're not operating from our highest selves, and by not acknowledging that, we never get an opportunity to grow through it.
I find that whenever I embody this, I end up I bypass means of authentic connection.
Yes.
And so whenever I'm not vulnerable with how I'm feeling, then I'm not creating an opportunity where someone can really connect with me, so that it ends up being this performative interaction and there's no intimacy.
Yes. And in many cases, I find that there's like a fake intimacy where the other person, I don't know how they feel, if they're actually feeling that, oh yeah, we're connecting, or if they're feeling that there's like a little bit of something, maybe, not it's a little something funky going on. So, so that's the saintly mask. And then the other is the spiritual guide dependent, which I think kind of comes back to the astrological deflector. Avoids decision making or accountability by outsourcing every answer to external guides or readings. Whew. Now I have to say, I have been trying to build, and this is why it could be a plus or a minus, or depending on why you're using it. I have been really trying to work with my intuition and trust my intuition. So I have been, coffee or tea today, and waiting for that answer. So and that's for me to stop. It's to help me to recognize that I am my own authority, and I can make these decisions, and my body does know what's good for itself. So that's a great, I think, a great way of approaching that. But then it could be like, I'm just refusing to make any answer because any choice, because then I won't be to blame for any of the choices I made. So it comes back to that, that it was the will of Allah, so because I listen to my guides, I listen to my angels, I listen to the saints or whatever.
Yeah. I see that one too in Christianity a lot.
Oh, yes. I prayed on it.
Yeah, right.
And when I prayed on it, it told me exactly what I wanted to do.
Right.
What a coincidence.
So weird. And it wasn't my choice. I didn't make the decision.
Jesus did.
Right.
Jesus said, girl, go buy that fur coat.
Right.
Anyway.
The next one is number 8, the guru follower. Surrenders all discernment to a teacher or system and bypasses their own intuition and inner authority. So that's kind of the other side of the spirit, the
spirit guide.
The spirit guide.
That's, I'm not going to say, but there's a prominent minister here in town that a lot of people rely on to make pretty much all their decisions, like who they're going to vote for, who they're going to hate. He helps with that a lot.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. They really get to outsource a lot of their at mega churches.
Their brain, their brains. So the guru follow. Enough said.
Yeah.
Whew. The moral judge calls out others' bad energy or low vibrations while refusing to examine their own projections.
I'm good at this one.
Yeah, I have. And I may do this as well, but I know I have been on the other end of this, where somebody felt as if I was doing, things that were not contributing to the ascension of the planet. And I was thinking, are you kidding me? But whatever. So I felt as if I was being projected upon in some of those instances. And I'm sure I've done it as well. So
I can use leadership as a way of creating a barrier between my authenticity and my work. So that this is one that I really try to stay aware of.
Thank you. And the passive believer prays, affirms, and visualizes. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that with it.
Wow.
Let me try.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. Let me try that again. Prays, affirms, and visualizes without taking aligned action, mistaking passivity for faith. So there's a joke where this man is praying for help. There's been a flood, and he's praying for help, and he's I think he's on the water's risen. He's on his roof, and someone goes by in a boat, a canoe, and they said, "You want to hop in?" He said, "No, the Lord will provide." And then somebody goes by in a motorboat, and they said, "Come on, let me take care of you because the water's getting even higher." He says, "No, the Lord will provide." And then a helicopter goes by, and they said, "We can drop you a ladder." "No, the Lord will provide." And then later he dies, he drowns, and he dies, and he goes up to, I guess, to God or the St. Peter or whatever, and he said, "Why didn't you provide help?" He said, "Well, we sent you a canoe, we sent you a motorboat, we sent you a helicopter. What else did you want?" But he wouldn't take that. He was just kind of waiting for, I don't know, the heavens to open up and for them to carry. But I see that often where people will do their affirmations, they'll do the thing, and then let me reference. I have been known to do my affirmations and visualizations and then just sit on the sofa, as opposed to, okay, so I'm visualizing myself as being, I don't know, a successful writer. Let's maybe pick up my laptop, and just get some shitty first drafts down there, you know. But I'm waiting for enlightenment. I'm waiting for the heavens to open, the angels to sing, and the novel to just appear fully formed in my head.
I find that for this one, the ones that really bother me are the ones that directly involve inaction. And this one really bothers me, and I see it a lot in politics with thoughts and prayers, like after a tragedy. I don't want to hear thoughts and prayers. I want to hear, here's 3 legislative actions we're going to take right now in order to stop this from happening again.
Yes, yeah.
But instead, it's thoughts and prayers.
This is how we're going to support the survivors. This is how we're going to do this. This is what, this is how we're going to keep it from happening again. But I'll pray for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling that. So I'm wondering if some of our listeners might recognize either themselves or some, some interactions that they've had.
I think one thing I noticed as we were going through those is it's not limited to any one sort of religion. It can be whether it's like New Age, neo-paganism, witchcraft, or Christianity, or any religion, or in fact maybe like not even a religion. But it doesn't matter where it is. It's a human experience to try to bypass these hard things.
Yes, we're saying spiritual bypassing because we're talking about ways in which people use these spiritual tropes and ideas to kind of keep from doing this work, but it can happen in a lot of other ways as well.
So we can move through this by being compassionate with ourselves, by working on our psychic wounds, and by realizing that this is like a natural a natural reflex of like whenever we get close to something that's really tender.
Yeah.
So not blaming ourselves for it, but noticing it, kind of like how I do whenever I get resentful, and then walking my way back from the resentment and to figure out what's really going on.
And I would suggest, even when one is pretty sure, even when I'm abstracting it, you see, even when I'm pretty sure I'm doing it for all the right reasons, quote unquote, right reasons, taking, as I'm doing this, recognizing that list and the many ways in which this can be done for a healthy reason or for a not so healthy reason, just questioning. Sometimes we have a marker like resentment or anger or fear or, something, a twinge might be, it could be a physical reaction that would allow, kind of signal to me to stop and think about what's going on, and maybe because the thing about spiritual bypassing is it's keeping you from doing the growth, but also addressing the spiritual bypass could be your next step in your growth journey, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, and having said that, I think there are some, like we were talking about, neo-pagan groups and Christianity. They do have methods for actually doing this work. And that's what's so funny about it, is that you can see this in whatever your tradition is. But for example, I think of in Christian groups, that they have like their prayer groups and etc. But then they also have the women's auxiliary, where they take the baked ziti in New Jersey. They take the baked ziti to the family that's in need or whatever. So you're actually stepping outside of whatever you're trying to bypass. Sometimes you step around it, but that allows you to think, oh, okay, I see this going on. Now, what am I, by taking this ziti, okay, is it just making me feel superior? Am I really being helpful? So you can just even, I can just even, I'm noticing it's really hard for me to eye reference with all of this, because I'm bypassing, apparently. Oh my God. I'm saying you, we, one. But I can use this anytime now that I've gone through that list, I see all the different ways in which I can do that in a healthy way. And if I'm pretty sure I'm doing it in a healthy way, even then, knowing my tendencies, that should be a marker for me to just say, okay, is this really healthy? Because it seems on the surface to be, but is it really? And so I can use that as a means for self-exploration.
I am so good at fooling myself.
Oh,
I am so good at it.
Because you know yourself really well, so you know how to fool yourself.
I mean, geez, I'm like a magician.
Oh my gosh! Oh, yes,
know?
And like, I would suggest that we are all our worst enemies. We can be our own worst enemies because we know ourselves so, like, subconsciously we know ourselves so well, and so we know. I know. I know. I know that, I subconsciously know that if I do this, I'm going to feel really good, and I won't feel that pain.
Yeah. Double whammy of awesome, of perceived awesomeness.
Yes. Yeah. So one of the things that I hope people get from this, and that I'm reinforcing for myself, is the fact that it's not the behavior, it's how we're using it. And we can use that behavior now that if I've become more self-aware, now that every time I do something like that, I can take a moment to say, get still, quiet, think about it, and say, okay, this is good for you. Yeah, this is healthy. Or, okay, we're going to need to journal and sit with this a little bit, but go ahead and take them the ziti, because they need the ziti. Take them the baked ziti, and then come home and sit with this.
Can I be a little bit catty?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I've been doing some reflecting on this. It's not fully fleshed out yet, and I am very cautious about certain groups, particularly women's groups, because of spiritual bypassing. And the way I think about it is that in our culture, in the overculture, women are mostly taught to keep the peace and
girl preach,
and to not handle conflict head on. It's handled subtly under the table, through like politics, drama, things like that.
Passive aggressive.
Yes, yes. Instead of just like going up and being very direct with it. And I think that lends itself to spiritual bypass really well. Or really poorly.
Well, Yeah.
And so I can see that a lot in women's groups, whether they're Christian or pagan women's groups. And I also think I see that a lot in like trad wife culture.
Ooh.
So it's something that I really notice.
May I ask, because I'm wondering, is this a way of of garnering power when one feels powerless?
I think so.
Because
When direct power is not available to me, then I'm going to garner it indirectly.
By doing something that would reinforce my sense of superiority or allow me to not take account. Okay, gotcha.
I think so. Yeah. And this is still like a newer thing that I literally texted you like a week ago with some like notes that I scribbled in my journal because I had a dream about this.
Yes.
So I was dreaming about spiritual bypass in women's groups, and
I'm so glad that we're allowing you to get some of this out.
And I think there's also a connection to the glorification of unnecessary suffering. And so again, this is not saying that the thing itself is bad. It's the reasoning behind it, which is bypassing. So, for example, like not getting a vaccine is not necessarily bad. There are people who don't need to get these vaccines because of medical reasons. But not getting a vaccine as a method of spiritual bypass of like, well, so whatever deity will protect me, or we don't need that. That's for other people, whatever it is. Then it creates this unnecessary suffering. I've also seen like this thing about birth control being bad in like some women's groups that I've been a part of. And about how like they're like, you don't need that garbage. Like we're above that. We just like pay attention to our bodies, and then
oh, right. Yeah. Yes. I see what you're saying.
And I'm not saying that not using birth control is bad. Like if that's the way that is best for you, then do that. But spiritual bypassing this fact that
using it as a means of justifying.
Yes.
Justifying or excusing or
Yeah. I mean, birth control has been one of the best things in my life. Thank goodness. But I remember sitting in that women's circle and being like, record scratch sound, me being like, what? And that's actually a group that I, myself and a bunch of other people choose to no longer be involved with because of other things too. So, and I also think it can be like a slippery slope or a gateway to oppression. Almost in this like weird back door of like we are getting off of the mainstream way of thinking about things, but then it can kind of like I can see it taking so far that it ends up like going back into this like really backwards thing.
That kind of sense of, well, I am not going to get, we're above all of that. We're, so we're above, I see this sometimes in some of my ascension groups that, yes, all this stuff is happening on the physical plane, but we're in 5D, we're in 6D, so we don't have to worry about, things like immigration or whatever. It's like, but you still have a body, and your body is still on this plane. So how do you navigate? That's something I still work through. How do you navigate that? But using that as a way of bypassing any sort of physical responsibility you might have to, in your social contract, right?
Yeah. And I think it can be really dangerous, especially for white women who can internalize it, and then it can come out as white feminism or like I mentioned just a second ago, like this trad wife philosophy, and end up where we end up centering a small group instead of the marginalized group. We can end up centering this other group
through bypass,
and then these other groups are then not affirmed and included and acknowledged.
Right, because I'm just so saintly. So and you're not. Well,
and I can imagine like white feminism. So I'm a white woman, like white feminism. I'm like, yeah, we should, protect women. And then there are other people who are like, yeah, so there's like more to it than that. And I'm like, shh, women, and the system like serves me as a white woman. And there are other people, probably women of color, who are like, excuse me, also like, hey, and I'm like, shh, look how good I am, women,
Yeah. And it's because you are standing up for like this one facet, and probably the other people in your group are really invested in that one facet. It allows, I'm saying you again. Okay, how can I do this? Well, if I were in your group, but it would allow me to not have to worry about these other things, right? Because my sense of of self, et cetera, et cetera. I'm invested in this one thing, and I can use that as my excuse for not paying attention to these other things because, I'm praying and I'm investing, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Can I tell a quick story about
Of course,
it?
sure.
So this was during COVID and at the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement. And I was watching the news from my kitchen, and I remember seeing everything going on, and there was going to be a mass protest, a mass die-in. Because it was COVID, it was at a park, and everyone was going to just like lay down at this park. And I remember turning to my partner and saying to him, I'm going to make a sign that says all lives matter, because all lives matter. Because this was at the very beginning of BLM, before it was even called BLM. And I'm like, well, all lives matter. And like, I want to be a part of like every life mattering. And I was like talking to about it. And I was so excited. And then I wake up the next day and I like start doing some research, and boy, oh boy, did I get smacked in the face with how I was spiritually bypassing the real issue. And boy, was I was really thinking that I was just such a good person.
And yes.
And of course I think I am a good person.
I think you're a good person
too. And I was really bypassing doing some really hard work, some really deep work, some work that I'm, it's 2025, almost 2026, and I am still doing that work.
Well, and one of the things that, and I think maybe we didn't mention this, but this, the idea is that it's often what we're doing. Okay. So like I said, the behavior is the same behavior, whether it's coming from a healthy or unhealthy genesis, right? A seed. But the healthy aspect of it allows you to actually deal with the thing. Like you might be sidestepping it momentarily, but it has within it the seeds for you to actually stop avoiding the raw stuff, the painful stuff. It gives you the seeds for handling that pain, that grief, that anger, or whatever in a healthy way. So it's not the behavior itself. Is this maybe the next step after that behavior? Because the idea is, sometimes you can't fall apart. You just had a car wreck, and but you've got your kids in the car. You're trying to get them to your grandmother who's in the hospital or whatever. You can't fall apart then. So you got to kind of suck it up and not pretend. Be optimistic for the kids in the car who might be scared. Whatever. Yeah. But then the idea being that, okay, good, I'm holding it together and holding it together, and I'm holding it together because I know I have the strength to handle this. When I get the kids in bed, after we visit grandma in the hospital, and then I can, and it's not necessarily falling apart, but you might find that, yeah, you're falling apart, but you might find also that same strength that allowed me to sidestep it for a moment, I can draw upon as I sit there at the end of the night and just think about all the things that happened that day.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that basically, okay, so here's the answer, folks.
Okay,
the answer is to just stop avoiding what's painful and raw, but you might have to temporarily. And so, but it's not bypassing if you do then actually deal with it. Right,
but that's really hard.
I know. That's why I developed all my mechanisms. Is because I don't want to hurt. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to, look at that gaping wound in my soul and have to do something with it.
Yeah.
So I prefer to just pour some prayer over it,
right,
and maybe say some affirmations to kind of, strengthen it from the bottom, and so there we go. Maybe do some tarot. Maybe read some tarot.
Yeah.
So I can just look at the pretty pictures, and it just soothes my soul. And there's nothing wrong with soothing my soul if that soothing my soul is helping me to address the underlying issue. So not just building like a little fake scab over it.
That's well said. Well said.
So. Let's talk poem.
Sometimes that can feel soothing to me.
Well, so here's my thinking. Poetry can be very, very soothing. It can also be painful, raw, vulnerable. And it can sometimes force me to think about things that I may not necessarily want to think about. And so poetry can be used to spiritual bypass. I have found that's one of the few things I can't co-opt to my as a coping mechanism. That poetry, music, they might help. Like it might help me to quiet down a little bit, but it helps me to quiet down so that I can actually deal. And poetry does, for me, at least the majority of the time, poetry does the same thing for me.
So this poem is called Getting into Bed on a December Night. It's by Ellen Bass, and Ellen Bass is an American poet. She's won 3 Pushcart prizes and a Lambda Literary Award.
Wow. Okay, cool.
And she also wrote a book in 1991 called The Courage to Heal, and it's about recovering from child sexual abuse.
Well, what year was it?
That book was in 91.
91, okay.
But she won the Lambda Literary Award in 2002 for her book Mules of Love.
Sweet. Okay, Ellen Bass. I'm not familiar with her, but I'll look for more of her stuff.
When I slip beneath the quilt and fold into her warmth, I think we are all like the pages of a love letter written 30 years ago.
That some aging God still reads each day and then tucks back into its envelope.
I love that image of tucking back into the envelope.
Yes.
In my bed.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being a part of our exploration of spiritual bypassing. And I hope, just reading through it just reminded me of some things that I might be able to spend a little time. And I hope that, you might find that there is some use for you in some of the things that we mentioned, whether it's something for that you're dealing with or you're dealing with because someone's projecting onto you.
Hopefully this spiritual bypass episode will keep us from spiritually bypassing.
Well, nothing's going to keep me from doing it, but it'll sensitize me to it. There we go. Okay. Thank you.
We hope you have enjoyed the magic that has unfolded here at Witchy Wit.
It would be great if you would help make Witchy Wit possible and get access to exclusive content by donating on Patreon.
We'd love it if you join our Witchy community and enjoy shareable content on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Would you do us a big favor and support us by rating and reviewing us wherever you get your podcasts? It's free and helps witchy folks find us.
Feel free to email us at witchywitpodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from our community. Reach out and let us know what's brewing in your cauldron.
New episodes are released every second and fourth Friday. Follow us on your favorite podcasting platform so our episodes go right to your playlist. You can listen as you ride your broom.
Stay witchy, y'all!